Hey, welcome back to the channel, guys. In today's video, we're going to talk about doing water changes and a little bit of the steps on how I do mine. So stay tuned. So water changes in saltwater tanks don't have to be complicated. They just need a little bit of preparation. As long as you have a little bit of preparation, they're just as easy as freshwater water changes. You can get distilled water, you can get RODI water from your store. I actually use the RO Buddy. I usually make 50 gallons at a time. I have a 50-gallon brute trash can. It's just full of fresh water. So RODI water is reverse osmosis deionized. So the one I have is a 4-stage filter. I actually pump 4 gallons of water out of my 50-gallon reserve. I pump it into a bucket, I weigh out the salt, and I mix it. People may disagree with the way that I do it. Basically, once I weigh out the salt, I try to shoot for about 40 parts per thousand. This way, it's a lot easier to add RODI water to dilute your solution to get it down to 35 parts per thousand. Come up short, and now you have to add more salt. Shoot high, dilute later. I mix it with my hand, 30-40 seconds. Make sure everything is mixed up at the bottom. I usually use my hand. Then I just throw in a circulation pump. I let that circulate for a couple hours. Now, some people always heat the water and then they add the salt. That's probably the correct way. It says it on the package that you're supposed to heat the water, add the salt, blah, blah, blah. Honestly, I've been using room temperature water for years now and it mixes fine. I've tested it and it tests normal, you know, nothing that I should be concerned about. So I just continue to do unheated water. The next step, got to take the water out of the old tank, right? I actually use just a regular hose and I have another bucket of the same style bucket. As I'm pulling water out of tank, I'm watching the level, the bucket that the wastewater is going into. The reason for this is I want to make sure that I take out as much water as I have made. It's easy to use the same bucket. This way you can tell when it gets to a certain level in the bucket, you can look and say, okay, I've taken out enough water. Now I'm not going to come up short. Once the water is mixed, always make sure you check the salinity is going to match your tank. I shoot for about 40 parts per thousand, and I know that if I add 4 scoops of fresh water into it, it brings it down to 35 parts per thousand, which is what the tank is at. You can proceed with the water change. Now, this is the part that people might get a little bit upset with. My tank runs at about 77 to 78 degrees. I don't heat the water before I put it in the tank. Oh my God! What, you may be asking? You don't heat the water before you put it in? What if the temperature's not right? It's gonna be too cold. It's gonna lower it. I'm changing 4 gallons of water in a 20-gallon tank. If I use 65-degree water and I change 4 gallons, it drops it to 74 degrees. Some of you might be thinking, oh my God, you're gonna kill your animals, put them in shock. I've never seen a negative side effect using just regular room temperature, cold water when doing a water change. Have any of you guys ever gone diving? I've gone diving, and let me tell you, the weird cold pockets that you run into just randomly, 4-degree temperature that my tank drops is nothing compared to some of the pockets of cold water that come up when you're diving that are on the reef. Honestly, that's why I do it that way. Like, I've never noticed any of my corals shrivel up, shrink, lose color, die. Never seen any of it happen.
It's a miracle.
For those of you that are wondering, do you really need to heat the water? I guess it could be debatable. Everyone's tank runs differently. So once you go through and you suck out all the nasties out of the tank, so I have an actual pump that I put into the bucket with the fresh water, and I just turn the pump on and then I just fill the tank back up. It is way easier to have a pump to pump it back into the tank than to sit there with a 5-gallon bucket and trying to dump it over the edge. Just makes a mess. If you are gonna do a water change and you can get a little, you know, a little pump that pumps, say, 5 feet, it's perfect. You can just stick it in the bucket, pump the water back into the tank, and you're done, guys. Water change done. It's not scary, guys. Having a saltwater tank and doing a water change, it's just a little bit of extra work because you have to mix the salt. It's pretty much the same thing as a freshwater tank. So any of you freshwater guys out there and you're thinking about a reef tank and the water change thing might detour you because, oh man, I gotta mix salt and this and that. Honestly, as you can see, it's not that bad. So hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button because I actually have some more content coming up. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you all in the next one.